Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey there, Facebook family. This is Kristi Saul, the co-founder of the Post+Institute, coming at you all live. I don't know where Big Papa is tonight. I've been clicking over to catch his video, and I've not seen it. So let's check in with him. He is probably traveling somewhere. I'm traveling somewhere too, actually. Marley and I are on the road to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, which happens to be, hey Abe, which happens to be, as they say, hey Mimi, they say it's the third best hospital in the country. And so we are here taking care of some medical things and getting some tests and stuff done that we couldn't get done in Oklahoma. So that leads me to think about a lot of different things. One, what popped in my head when I hadn't seen a video yet from Brian was, I was like, well, what am I going to talk about? What do I got to say? Well, so today I actually had a little bit of downtime, and I watched the Steve Jobs story, and I hadn't seen that in years. It's such a great movie, man. What a brilliant mind. What a brilliant mind. He's an adoptee, just, kind of one of those little pieces of trivia. And I found myself thinking, how many of us would have had the patience to let our 20-something-year-old son build computers in the garage before computers were even a thing? How many of us would have had enough relationship and understanding to entertain that versus insisting that our kids in their 20s go out and get a real job? And so it just made me think about how time is on our side when we, what is the movie? I think it's called I think it's called the Steve Jobs story. He's also dyslexic. I did not know that, Robin. Wow. That's another really cool fact. I'm not an expert on his stories, so please forgive me for that. But what touched me and what just really resonated with me was I was just thinking about how we get in such a hurry and we get so worried about what's going to become of our kids. And in that state of worry, sometimes we just push so hard and we lose relationship. And then when they don't have us as their safety net and as their support, there's a huge potential for lots of floundering. So much happens just out of knowing that we're loved and that we're valued. It's just amazing what can grow out of that soil, And then watching that movie and thinking about you guys, and then it made me think about like my own high school and growing up experience and many of my peers. And I think, and my dad's story is kind of interesting. My dad is dyslexic, but that wasn't identified back in the day. Nobody knew, but he's brilliant with numbers. God, he's so good with numbers. When he was in high school, though, he was told that he should just go to a trade school, that he would never be able to make it through college and definitely not in the business world. And, if he would have believed that, my dad's kind of a funny character because he's real stubborn. And that paid off, He was always supported by his family. In fact, the first business he went into was a business with his dad. They actually owned a newspaper. And so I want to remind you guys of all the, you look back at your own history and look back at your own friends, people you grew up with, listen to people tell their stories, and you're going to hear so many people tell stories where somebody said they were going to fail. You're never going to amount to anything, or you're nothing but trouble, or whatever negativity was spoke over them. And then I think about so many of my friends from high school, and they weren't great students. I have lots of friends who just, that wasn't their thing. They weren't great readers. They weren't great in math. We had like a business math that was just kind of your basic math, and we had a lot of classes that were designed just for life success, not college prep or any of that. And I can, without even really giving it any deep thought, I can think of 10 of them who are very successful entrepreneurs Now they're grandparents, right? They raised children. They have beautiful marriages. They have beautiful families. And, you know, somewhere along the line, it was that soil of love and confidence that was spoke over them that counterbalanced any sort of negativity of the connotation or the thought that, you know, you're not going to make it. You're not good enough. You're not going to be successful. And so I just, you know, I want to encourage you guys to think outside of the box. It's a big world. There's a lot of different opportunities out there. Not everybody's going to, you know, be a doctor or a lawyer or a business owner. You know, when I was in college, and actually during part of my professional career, I worked part-time as a bartender. Brian had lots of different jobs before he came into social work, and then was beautifully blessed with this amazing message that we teach. But let me tell you this, here's something funny. Early on in Brian's career, there were people who thought he was talking crazy talk. You know, he was talking crazy talk about loving these kids and putting consequences aside and entering into a different way of relating, while the mainstream in parenting for children who had challenging behaviors, attachment issues, the mainstream thought at that time was to be really firm and rigid and punitive and consequential, and you just had to do it harder. And then here comes Brian talking about loving more and connecting at a deeper level and understanding the brain and understanding the hijacked brain and the fear and the chemicals that get all of this going, and how all of this, you know, all these things that get implanted in the, you know, even in the womb. And so, you know, if he would have given up just because somebody out there told him that, you know, what you're saying doesn't make sense and we're not buying it, in fact, we're going to exclude you from our special attachment club because you don't talk about the same things we talk about, we'd never be here. You know, he was like, you know, he had conviction and guts, you know, kind of like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had conviction and he had guts and he had a vision. And so time is on our side. Time is on your side. And so I want to encourage you guys, you know, your kids are younger, to just pour into them. Keep that relationship open, because that's going to give you your place of guidance. I'm going to catch a couple of questions here. And hi, Kirsten. I see somebody saying, are you guys coming to New York? You know, Brian's been up in New York a few times this year. Honestly, I have no idea. I can't keep up with him. I know yesterday he was traveling because he was in the Denver airport, but honestly, I'm not sure where he was headed. But we'll find out. I know that for sure. Mary's asking, this is so good. My daughter's 22, and the idea that she could go out and do something is so common, but she is far from ready. But she's only 22. She's so young, you know. In fact, I have a few friends who have children who are in that 20-something range, and man, that's a tough time for the kids who are out in the world. Oftentimes, I call it toddlerhood revisited, because they're trying to figure out this grown-up world, and oftentimes they'll run into things out in the world that match a blueprint from way early in life, from their more traumatic experiences, from a more chaotic way of living, and they'll get out there in the world, and that chaos will fit those early life blueprints. And so sometimes they get really in a conflict, because their earliest life blueprints may involve a lot of chaos and a lot of drama, and then maybe they came to your family and things were much different, and so they have it almost can seem like they have a split personality, quite honest. I mean, that sounds kind of odd to say it like that, but you know, if you're living that life, you know what I mean, because it's like one minute they're out here running the streets with this group, but then the next minute they're home hanging out with us, and I feel like I know my kid again, and I don't get it. That's what's happening. Those early life blueprints are getting activated out there in the world with all the the activity and all the chaos. And then I know other people, and they're 20-somethings, they may be hesitant to jump out there in the world. They're struggling maybe with confidence, or how do I go about it. But the good news on that side is, they're not out on the streets, they're not drinking, they're not drugging, they're not, in high-risk activities. And so, love, patience, keep pouring into them. It's on your side. My kids, in this model, I'm going to tell you, this model is not going to guarantee that nothing bad's going to happen, because nobody can guarantee that. But what it will guarantee is that you and your child can be in relationship through it. It doesn't mean you have to fix it. It doesn't mean you have to bail them out of everything. It doesn't mean you have to fork over thousands of dollars in fines or whatever mess they might get into. Relationship, though, that connection, that place where they can come and just be like, man, I messed up. And, listen with your heart. I can remember so many conversations between my son and I of that, Mom, I'm really messing up. I can't figure it out. And, at that time, I might tell him ideas. I might give him suggestions. And then he'd get out there in the world and, just all over the place. But time has given him a lot of perspective, a lot of maturity. He's past that mid-20s, and so his brain maturity's kicking in. He's doing good. He's got a job. He's making friends. He's making some good, responsible decisions. He's got a car. He's taking care of his car. That's a big deal, Just the regular maintenance of a vehicle is a huge responsibility, So there's so many things I can say about him that I'm so proud of. And, he had a rough patch. Rough patch, and I hope it doesn't go that way again for him. But all I know I can do as a mom is love him and support him, believe in him. Just one person out there in the world having confidence in you can make all the difference. So Tom's on your side. Much love to you guys. Thank you for all that you do. If nobody has told you today, you're amazing. Hang in there. How many years did it take for my son? Well, he came into my life when he was about 14, and we plugged along until about 19 and 20, and then, quite frankly, he met girls, and that flipped his lid, because all of his issues with rejection, his insecurities about relationship and being good enough and loyalty were so triggered and so activated that he just kind of, like I said, it was just a big tailspin, and he just had a really hard time doing anything that was really productive. And so then, as life would have it, it was like a fast-moving train put to a dead halt, because he got in trouble with the law, and it was very hard to watch. But it was also a very good place for our relationship, because it got really strong. He had to spend some time in jail, and that was really hard. It was hard to watch, hard to see, but then he got out, and I got to pick him up, and I got to hug him, and I got to go visit him there, and we got to sit and just, play card games and talk about life and really connect with one another in a way we hadn't before. And so, now, actually today he's not feeling very good. He's got a little bit of the flu, but he's got a great job that he loves. He's doing landscaping, and he loves being outside. He's making great friends. I know he calls Mimi a lot. Mimi's saying yes, love, and lots of patience. Boy, man, one of these days, Mimi, I'm going to have you come do a Facebook Live and talk about that patience. Because we want good things for our kids. But we don't get to tell them what their path is. And sometimes it's hard to watch. It's so hard to watch when they're going in a direction that you're like, that is going nowhere fast. But, our job at some point, we shoot that arrow, and then, it's our job just to support them and love them and encourage them. When things don't go right, I'm just so sorry that this is happening. That's, really, honestly, just from the heart, I'm so sorry this is happening. that's how I felt. And I know that's how most of you would feel when you see your child making decisions that you know are just not going to go well. But it's their decisions to make. I know my parents probably did the same thing with me. Shoot, my 20s, sister, terrible. Oh my gosh. Like, seriously, we should just instead of the terrible twos, we'll start calling them the terrible 20s. Okay, you guys. Much love to you all. Thanks for hanging with me this evening. I'm sure we'll find out soon what Big Papa's up to. We love you guys. And we're going to keep doing our best to keep our commitment to coming with you nightly. I know we're late tonight, but we're just going to keep plugging along, trying to share a good message, trying to spread something helpful. And, when we come across any kind of thing that we think is going to help you all out, we're going to share it. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, to get my child's medical needs met because my state hospital, for some reason, can't come up here and learn what they're doing. I don't understand why it's like that. Maybe it's the competition. Maybe it's the scraping for the dollar. I made a post today that was about that. Just, gosh, I want all professionals to be at the top of their game, whatever that is. Continue your education, buy some books, watch some videos, consult with somebody, invest in yourself so that you're going to be at the best at whatever it is you're doing. Whether you're a therapist or a social worker or a hairdresser, I don't care. If you're mixing drinks, mix the best darn drinks you can mix. Be at the best of your game to make the world a better place. Much love to you guys. Good night.